Two African elephants, Swazi and Nisa, eagerly reach out their trunks, searching for a treat from lead keeper Lauren Coates.
Their skin's super thick and strong, but it's really wrinkly. It's kind of like a tire, like how it has some give to it, even though you can tell it's super strong. And it's super wrinkly, and they have hair all over their body. You can see it here on the trunk, but it's really thick like wires.
Coates reaches into a bucket full of cut-up sweet potatoes, cucumbers, and food pellets.
You can eat that food.
The keeper says the elephants get treats a couple of times a day as part of their training.
And they should respond to their names. And if they choose to come over, they get reinforcement for leaving, what they were doing and coming over. And then we'll walk away when we're done, and they get to go enjoy all their treats again.
Coates says the elephants have choice and control over what they do in the yard. The treats are a way to reinforce positive behaviors.
In the beginning, it's just getting them to know their name, just to come to us when they're called. And then we can move into more complicated behaviors like blood collections, milk collections, things like that we can use for different studies.
The two moms in this 9-elephant herd have been part of a more than year-long study of elephant milk. Keepers regularly take samples from lactating moms and analyze the milk's composition. Researchers are trying to measure how elephant milk changes over time so they can help orphan elephants in Kenya. Workers at the Riteti Elephant Sanctuary can make age-appropriate formulas that can be the difference between life and death for elephant calves. That connection makes the work in San Diego even more important for both researchers and keepers like Coates.
The work that they do every day is helping animals and plants in the wild.
Nadine Lamberski is the organization's chief conservation officer. She says the new San Diego Zoo Wildlife Alliance name reflects a holistic approach to conservation.
It is about wildlife, it's also about people, and it's also about, again, the ecosystems that we share. And it's that balance of nature that becomes so important in our work.
She says the concept hit home recently when the coronavirus infected the safari park's gorilla troop. It was the first ever case of human-to-gorilla transmission. Several members of the troop were infected, and the silverback got monoclonal antibody therapy. All have recovered, but Lamberski says the situation offered a lesson.
This is an infection that originated from animals and then went into people, and unfortunately, people transmitted it back to animals. But it goes beyond just that. We had a meeting just the other day with our colleagues that work with great apes in the wild, and we talked about how do we protect wild gorillas? What needs to happen to make sure that they don't suffer consequences because of the exposure to this virus.
In fact, COVID-19 helped push the zoo to change the way it does business around the world. San Diego Zoo CEO and President Paul Barabalt says the zoo was making incremental movement in that direction anyway, but the pandemic accelerated the change.
Through this past year, we've all seen how our own human health is tied to the health of wildlife, is tied to the global health of the planet. And so in so many ways, COVID was the catalyst that said, we have to do this now.
Barabalt says the San Diego Zoo Wildlife Alliance brings research skills to the table, but he says that's not enough for a complete solution which engages communities, governments, and other wildlife organizations outside of San Diego.
For us to have a greater impact in conservation, we needed to use this moment to energize everybody, all of our partners, all of our donors, all of our supporters here in San Diego, to be a part of this solution.
Barabalt says the new focus doesn't mean the two parks will be ignored. He says those parks must thrive for the organization to stay financially healthy. Barabalt says the animals, like the African elephants at the safari park, help connect local visitors to the organization's research work. Erik Anderson, KPBS News.